tonight on this cold night. Thank God we are all in our little cozy spots. Um, and I
Got it.
welcome everyone. Everyone, that's on here know that I am the current chair of the Environmental Protection Committee. And everyone else can just say who they are and as acknowledgement and roll call at the same time. So we're gonna do
Okay.
so
Okay, well, I'll go for it. Rod Herbert, Environmental Committee member, longtime resident. Happy to be here.
okay. Thank you.
That's the travel man.
Yeah. He stays on the road.
That's the man who's always traveling. He stays on the go.
Yes. So Bishop, you can go ahead.
Okay. So, I'm always just Bishop Gonzalez. Debbie, I'm always just Bishop Gonzalez. There's nothing much more to say.
Okay. All right. And Teresa, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so you can go ahead and acknowledge. Yeah.
Hi, I think you all know me. Tara, Teresa here.
Okay.
Ready to protect the environment with you all.
Yeah.
Yes.
We better
Yes,
be
Teresa.
ready.
We've got a lot of protecting to do.
Yeah. So okay, and Khalid is on. Okay. Khalid, one question for you. Were you
Yes.
able to send the information to the intern that was on our October meeting?
Yeah, she I didn't get any correspondence from her, so
No?
no.
Okay. Okay. So that's fine. I guess she'll connect at some point. I'm not sure. Maybe she's a little busy. Okay, so we will move on to old business. And outstanding issues and updates. The last meeting that we had, which was in October, we talked about our drainage system because of the overwhelming amount of rain that we inherited over a period of time. And of course, our drainage system was inundated with water everywhere. And, we had some concerns that we raised about that. There's some information that I received from Dante with regards to the contact that Mr. Herbert had provided. I think you provided the information to Dante.
Yes, I did. I believe it was a report. I'm
Right.
trying to remember a report that I
So
sent.
yeah. So I actually had a follow-up with him last week with regards to the status of the presentation or the presenter. And I think he was just making the the connection or follow-up call. And it looks like we probably won't have someone until maybe January or February meeting.
Okay.
Because this month is totally out of the question. So I think that was the information that he provided me with, by email.
Okay.
And so hopefully we can but what we need to do as a committee, we need to come up with some of the questions that we would want to ask, at that time. I think in the October meeting, minutes, I had some information in there and, related to the water problems and, some questions that we had. So maybe we can use that as well as any additional information that, any one of you may have. I would probably have some as well. So if we can coordinate that once we have, a presenter or try to work on that right now so that, we'll have those things in place when, meeting has been coordinated. So, the other thing that I noticed with, the rain that we had, there was a lot of ponding. And, it's normal when it rains, but the areas that this ponding is happening, it's where people have to cross the street from one side to the other. And it's
Mm,
not just one, it seems as though it's happening at all of these crosswalks. So I mean, if you're in a wheelchair, if you're a senior and you're not able to jump over that water, you would have to find an area that you probably would have to walk further up, or to get to your destination, or to cross, to get to where you're going. So that's problematic. And then the other thing that I noticed was a lot of leaves and in the drainage
Mhm.
areas. And
mm,
that is very problematic because if sanitation doesn't pull it out when they are picking up garbage, or I don't even know if they sweep the area, it remains there and it just builds up. And I noticed that in a lot of area, not just our area, but even traveling on the buses, you see some of these things all over. And it's problematic because once that gets into the drain, it builds up. And this is where our water system, our sewer system becomes problematic, because you have all that stuff in there. And, once that water starts rising and there's nowhere for it to go, it goes into, people's basements and, other areas I think that, there's definitely a problem there. And since we acknowledge it, maybe, we need to keep, pressing on that, because that's one of the problem right there, getting all that, you know, stuff built up in our drainage systems. And the other thing that I noticed was that some of the drains, with the way that they put the asphalt on the ground, it's not it's some areas it's problematic because of the way it's, the drain is located and the way they pave the streets, so that's problematic too. So maybe those are some of the things that they need to revisit, and when they're paving the streets, because I noticed that a lot of the water sits in, and it sits there for a while, unless maybe one of the neighbors or someone would come and push it out with a broom so that it goes, wherever that drain is.
mm.
But other than that, it's not able to do that on its own. Yeah. So that's another issue that I noticed. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that, but yeah.
So
Um
one of the things this time of year,
yeah,
you know, as you identified, the leaves that come down off the trees,
yeah,
right? The city, the DEP does have a routine schedule that they do follow to clean sewers. Right?
mm-hmm,
It's pretty, sporadic and whatnot. What I've seen, but there are sewers that a neighbor and myself we constantly call
yeah,
periodically in order to make sure that they are clean and ready for the next rainfall. And
yeah,
that's something that people should do is if they do see a packed catch basin on the corner, they
yeah,
should contact the DEP.
right,
Also, the DEP they're going through well, it's been ongoing for a couple of years now, a project where it's a capital project where they are making sure the curbs are compliant with ADA rules and regs.
yeah,
And with that, they're installing a new grading, and the grading is not a wide open mouth grading. It's a little more restrictive in order to prevent items or particulates to go down into the catch basin. So, with that change, yeah, we're going to see the catch basins clog up a lot faster.
so this
Mm.
change,
Hmm.
what would it cause for that to happen? I mean, the new change that they're making, Is it
So-
some type of a lift that they putting there or?
So no, so there was a lawsuit
Right.
that was filed, and the result of the lawsuit was that the city was going to implement a capital improvement project where all of the curbs that did not comply with ADA rules, there was
Mm-hmm.
access for wheelchairs and non-slip surfaces and so forth. They were going to attend to all of those and make necessary repairs and or adjustments. And that also included changing the catch basins because they decided to take advantage of another program they had, which was to reduce the the matter going into the catch basin. So that's when they put in the more restrictive type catch basins. So it's a twofer project, and this is between the DEP and DOT.
Also, okay.
Yeah.
So did they start that project already? Because I really like to see what it looks like.
Yeah, so this project has been going on for a couple of years now. It's ongoing. As we talk, I'll see if I can find something with regards to
Yeah.
the lawsuit and that project, and I'll send it. So I'll take a search while during the meeting. I'll see if I can find it, and I'll send it to the district office and to everybody.
Okay.
You could see them being installed quite locally. I mean, there's one, for example, on Sullivan and what is it, Franklin Avenue. There was one installed. That's where we put in the garden. Remember, before, like 2 years ago, the Environmental Protection Committee got a grant to put in a garden. And I worked at Martina and Christian LeBeau. They got that grant, and we put it in down on Sullivan on the corner, and then they came to do that project. And they dug up our garden and we had to move it suddenly. So you could see how they're putting in these like bumpy, I guess it's for, so blind people without sight can cross. That's one corner where they've done it. They did quite an extensive amount of work there in that area on, Washington, Franklin, Sullivan, Empire. And then, it seemed like everything was great and done. It took them more than 5 years to do all that work. And then it caved in a couple
Wow.
of weeks ago in front of McDonald's on Empire between McKeever, off of McKeever across from. So that's something that seems to be happening. And I don't know why all these cave-ins are happening. There's an extensive amount, but there's a lot of construction in our neighborhood. And there's a lot of, it seems like has been constant. One of the things I've noticed is, which I've spoken in here to you all about, is the concrete. The washouts have been happening. A lot of heavy equipment, and it's resulted in quite a bit of chaos, in our area. We haven't, so it seems like that project on Bedford and Sullivan, that they've completed that finally today, just today. They were there today. And when I came home, I was out all day. They were gone. The workers that were fixing the that particular area of the collapse, there were 3 collapses there total. And the third one was fixed, but all the trucks for the construction project that's happening there were in that area now. So like maybe 5 heavy trucks on Bedford again, and they moved the bus stop just this week. They've done, it's happening quite fast there, but the biggest concern is the collapse, and I think it's related to this area having so much concrete poured down the drains, into the system. I don't know, Rod knows more. I've seen a lot of his friends from Con Ed, 24-hour trucks out there trying to keep things moving. So people haven't lost electricity, but it's not pleasant.
Okay.
Tough
So
on
I
the
guess we will continue to follow up on all of those outstanding issues with, I'm sure that the, community board office has,
Is Dante sending you reports, Debbie? Because, you know, he reported that he gets reports continuously about this, and I asked him to forward to me so I could send to my neighbors. And he didn't, but I wondered if he was maybe sending them to you to forward, because
which report are you speaking, are you referring to?
he says that he gets reports, he was getting reports from, I don't know if it's the DOT, Department of Conservation, you know, whatever the status is on these, on the collapses that have been happening. You know, it's basically the sewer collapses, you know, in the middle of the street. That's what's happening. And there was a big, on the first night that things froze, the site in front of McDonald's that's collapsed, there was
Mhm.
a water main break. So the whole street was flooded with water. That was the first night it froze. I think it was the day after Thanksgiving, Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Well, I didn't get anything from him
I'd
as
like
yet, so.
to give us any reports that he's receiving. I wish we could see those, because apparently he gets them. That's what he said at the executive board meeting.
Well, usually, you know, the, whatever reports, they would go to the, board office and then they, you know, would, send a copy to the, you know, committee. But I haven't received anything as yet, so I don't know what he has, but,
So he hasn't
you
sent
know,
you anything at all?
normally what I do is I follow up on the things that we discuss at the meeting with them. So those are the information that I, you know, would get information for feedback on the, you know, pertaining to, let's say Sullivan and Bedford over there. I believe he sent something saying that, you know, the project was almost completed. And, you
Yeah, I
know,
haven't
that
seen
they would
anything.
continue to follow up on it. So hopefully, you know, we can, get more information on that in terms of, you know, where they are and,
It would be good if we could get I would like to see those reports, and I know my neighbors would.
so maybe we can ask for the requests, put in a request. Khalid, can you,
Yes, I can follow up with Dante.
follow up? Yeah. So that we can, take a look at that information and see what's in there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if maybe he sent it to the Transportation Committee. I don't know. But it would be good to see
My
what's in
girl, I say
there.
hello.
Yeah. And, okay, so we'll wait to hear. Does anyone have any, information to add to that? Anyone else? Okay.
I don't, Debbie, I don't have any information to that. I just wanted to know. I think the
Uh-huh.
street sweeping or cleaning schedule is
Uh-huh.
off in our neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
because normally, you know, it will be alternate side of the
Right.
street
Right.
parking. And so the cleaning trucks can come down. And what I've noticed is that it's not happening, you know, as regularly as they should. So I'm
Uh-huh.
not sure if they changed the schedule since COVID, or, you know, what is happening. That's why all that debris comes when the rain falls, because it's just there sitting in the gutter.
Well, yeah,
The streets are not being cleaned. I don't know if you see it on your side. I know we see it over here all the time.
where are you,
The
Bishop?
leaves are.
What neighborhood?
I'm on Union Street.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm in
we've
Crown
also,
Heights. I'm in your neighborhood.
oh, yeah, we've had in our area a problem too with, we've got a lot of the cars that are,
Yes,
lift or
not
whatever.
moving.
But a lot of those, and they don't move for alternate sides, so all the leaves are just left there. And if
Exactly.
the neighbor who lives there has to clean it, you know, otherwise it's a lot of leaves right now too. So they have to clean it, and they can't clean it like used to be, you know, everybody'd move so you could clean a little bit in front of your house, you know, usually that at that time, but that doesn't happen anymore. So you've got to wait until somebody might rent the car to run out and clean, when those groups like Lyft, for example, are supposed to be cleaning their spot that they paid the city this minimal amount of money for. They're not taking care of their spots. I know that's brought up in transportation, but it's also a environmental issue that's relevant to this topic now, like Bishop brings up, right?
Right. And
So Bishop, what I've noticed on my block, we do have alternate side parking. On Thursdays one side and on Fridays the other. So I mean, and I know sometimes some of the vehicles that, you know, they may not be someone that live on the block, they remain there. So what I've seen the sweeper do, he goes around. I mean, he'll sweep, but he goes around those vehicles. But usually there's a sanitation inspector or supervisor driving around in his vehicle after, you know, the sweeper goes by, you know, to see what I would think that they would, you know, issue a violation or something, but I'm not sure, you know, what happens in that case. But I mean, I would definitely call sanitation if, you know, there was, I mean, if there was vehicles parked there when it's supposed to be, you know, alternate side for the sweeper to come through, because, you know, it's something that is, you know, is supposed to happen.
It's
I don't,
not happening, and they don't get tickets like ever.
okay, so I guess,
that's those lift cars, right?
Yeah, we have a lot because they're putting them on all the corners. So we have these little tiny residential streets. So every corner has like 3 or 4.
Yes.
So it winds up being like 20 spots in this small area.
And
So-
because they're on the corner, it has an adverse effect on the water flowing, you know, freely, especially when there are the leaves. So I think the idea of having these cars might have been brilliant, but now it is affecting the environment. So either they're going to have to clean the car underneath those cars, move them and clean them, you know, because of course the big sweepers can't do it. So our communities compromise because we have those cars. Those cars don't move. The sweeper can't sweep. The leaves are there. The water comes. It backs up. The drains are in trouble. I mean, that's a domino effect right there. So
yeah.
maybe we just need to just
Well,
point that out in some kind of letter.
So that would be, you know, an issue for Dante to bring up at the service cabinet meeting.
Exactly.
Because it is a service issue. So
Exactly.
you know, so Khalid, if you can provide Dante with that information, because I think that it was discussed before, but apparently it's not, it's still, you know, an issue, and that needs to be, you know, looked into.
Yes.
So if
Okay.
you can, yeah.
Will
And
do.
what's the location for that?
They're all
It's
over.
on, well, it's on Sullivan, Terry saying, but I'm on Union, and it's all over. Do we have a list? Maybe we need to know, is there a list of where the cars are in our, you know, community board 9?
Yeah, transportation was working on this, and there's a list, but they're adding them consistently. And it seems like our area is like more of a area where they're putting them all in. Like nobody on Park Slope supposedly and other neighborhoods has them. It just seems to be really a lot here only. Like unfairly.
So we need, yeah, Debbie, I think we just need to know You know,
Well, I
I
guess we
don't
need
know
we
that
need to
it's
find out more as to what, why
where
are
are
they
they
in
located?
certain areas and not others, and what is the reason, for them, being there. So I mean, it sounds as though I'm not sure if transportation has any information to provide on that, but I guess we can more than likely bring it up at the next general board meeting, or even, have, the Dante follow up with DOT, whether it's DOT or whoever, in terms of what can be done in order to get the streets swept when these vehicles are parked there.
Yeah,
It's crazy. I mean, if everyone else has to move their vehicles, why would you bring something that is just sitting there? What are the privilege that they get that other people don't get, that reside in the community? So yeah, so I guess, we'll follow up on that to find out, what can be done. I see two hands up. First I'm gonna start with Twyla Ware. I'm not sure, if you are.
Hi, I'm a community board member. I was just trying to see if any of you knew possibly how to find the youth committee link, because it's only listed one place and it says that the meeting's already in progress, but it's being hosted, or it says that the host has a different meeting in progress and I can't seem to find it. Does anyone have any suggestions? Sorry to disrupt your meeting.
Khalid, would you be able
Yeah,
to
no,
respond to that?
yeah, no problem. The meeting is actually canceled for this month by the committee chair. So there isn't,
Oh,
yeah, so it's just this meeting tonight.
Okay.
okay.
The
Very
URLIP
sorry about
meeting
that.
as well. There's a URLIP meeting, a land use committee tonight. Because we
Yeah.
were originally scheduled for the 18th, and then suddenly it got changed to this day. It said the 18th on the calendar, because I put it in my calendar.
Thank you
And
all very, very much and have a very
sorry,
good
Twyla.
evening.
You
Nice
as
to-
well. Thank you. So, Mr. Herbert, I see your hand up.
Okay, so first of all, I sent the information with regards to the lawsuit and another article. I sent it to you, Debbie, Tara, uh, to the district office. And I'm
you're
sorry,
breaking up.
Bishop, I do not have your email address, but I'll have Khalid send it to you if he has your
No
address.
problem.
Okay.
You're breaking up.
Okay. He's good.
It might be me.
Oh, all right. Well,
I'm fine.
we'll keep going. Yeah, we'll keep going. And,
Yeah,
and if
just
it is
keep
me,
going.
And so that the lawsuit is pertaining to the DEP project.
yeah, that's for the DOT/DEP project. Yes, in order
Okay.
to
Okay.
that's for the
Okay.
compliant of the ADA
Yeah,
curbs and
ADA,
sidewalks.
okay.
Okay. Now just to uh follow up on what you guys were talking about with regards to the street sweeper and
Yeah.
the cars and all this other stuff. So we've have, and I can say had that problem
Uh-huh.
in on our neighborhood, because I'm on Troy Avenue and we had it on Troy, on Fenimore and Rutland and East 45th Street and so forth. So it's a lot of work, but we threw in 301 tickets and we worked with the precinct in order to get some cars moved, like the tractor trailer moved, and they towed a truck, which I was happy about, but there's still others to address.
Yeah.
And we're going through with that. All right. Also, if the street sweeper does not show up, what we do, we send in a 311 ticket and stating that the street sweeper was missed. And we just keep hitting them. And then the supervisor comes out and he basically tells us either the street sweeper broke down or this or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But once we started throwing in the tickets and, we're just relentless with it, we have seen an improvement. All right. So cleaning the streets is a 3-step process, right? It's enforcement, it's the alternate side,
Yeah,
parking rules and the street cleaning. Okay, so it's a triangle. So it's a process triangle.
yes.
Any one of these processes which is not enforced or is not there, the whole plan just goes awry. So you have to throw in 311 tickets. I know it's a pain, it's burdensome and whatnot, but unfortunately, this is what we had to resort to in order to, get the services out there. And we have seen improvement.
Because what I
Okay.
do, I normally would call DSNY 9 north or
Yes,
south, whichever one, and I get a supervisor on the phone. Why
correct.
is
Yeah,
the garbage still sitting out there? So, and usually I'll get a response, and
Mhm.
if they leave it, he'll say, okay, someone will be back to pick it up, whatever
Correct.
it is, I call them up, you know.
Correct.
So yeah,
But the issue with those lift cars or those taxis, unless they are parked in a permitted
Aaron,
street or sidewalk that's a taxi stand or a lift stand station or whatever,
yeah,
they have to move.
right.
There's no is this that's it. They just have to move. And
So,
311
but
tickets should be put in.
if it's a lift spot, if it's a lift spot, they're allowed to just leave it there like all the time?
When
Because
you
that's,
say lift spot, what's designating it as a lift spot?
they like put a sign and they painted on the street, they painted, well, for a long time, people were getting tickets because they didn't know. They put up one sign, a small sign, and it was like at least this is like right by my house. There's 4 spots and they put up a little sign. Everybody got tickets, over $100 tickets. People just kept getting tickets. They were towing people, and then they painted, and now it's more obvious. So not as many people are getting ticketed. So it's like an official spot that they're paying, I think, 400 a year for.
So
400
if it's designated a spot,
400 a year?
Yeah.
so if it's designated as a spot for them, then they can park there, but they do have to comply with the city's effort to keep the
That's
streets clean
that's correct.
because
That's
the
correct. Yep.
city has a permit. I think it's
Mhm.
an MS-14 permit. I'm not sure. I'm doing this from memory, and the permit is with the state. The city has this permit with the state in order to discharge stormwater into the sewer. And in order to comply with that permit, they have to follow what's known as a best management practices plan, which is, cleaning the streets, making sure reduce debris going into the waterways and so forth. In
I
order
see.
for the city to be compliant with that permit, the streets have to be cleaned. And what I would do, I would reach out to sanitation and have them make the move to clean the streets or speak to Lyft. We should maybe speak to Lyft, right? Because
That's
Lyft is not a good neighbor right now.
it. Yeah, it's not. It's more than just Lyft. It's more than one company that has these spots around this area, but Lyft is one of them. But they're not. You can't communicate with them. It's like,
Can you take a picture of that so-called sign? I'd like to see that, one day
oh
in your
yeah,
travels.
I took a lot of pictures of it.
But don't you attend the transportation meeting as well?
Yes,
So what are they talking about in the transportation meeting?
Well, remember the transportation committee had the resolution about the spots?
Is that the last one that he brought up at the general board meeting?
I think it was the time before this last time.
Okay,
The last one was for the woman's daughter who was murdered. That
right,
was,
and there was something else along with that.
yeah, it was the meeting before the
Okay, so it appears as though they're handling that.
well,
So we need to find out exactly what's coming out of that. We don't need 2 committees trying to figure out, what's happening with the lift issue.
yeah,
So
it's like I just, I want to. It's like the transportation committee passed their resolution, and they recommended fewer spots in such a small area and spread out more. And we recommended they recommended other spots to put them in, but it's, you know, it's a resolution, it's really advisory, but in the time, you know, nothing's changed since that, you know, resolution went through, nothing's changed. And I think what Ms. Bishop has brought up is that they're not getting cleaned. So I think Mr. Herbert is brought up, you know, that we have to complain directly, and I would want to know how to do that. You know, his information that he gave me about the cement was very helpful. You know, I didn't know some of those regulations, and I didn't know that it was a type of complaint, and now I'm pretty good at that now. Thank you so much for that. And my neighbors as well understand now that you're not allowed to run cement into our water system anymore. But I think people weren't aware because it was so prevalent here that pretty much all those cement trucks do it. And now they're doing much less, but it's still
They're not
getting.
doing it all.
So the what is it? The environmental conservation group. They're quite efficient, I have to say.
Yes, they are.
They're quite
Yes,
efficient,
they are.
and they will come and they will act. They're one of the fewer organizations that I found that really do their job.
Mhm.
So thank you
So,
for that.
Okay, so,
Anytime.
so Dante,
Debbie,
go ahead.
I just have one question. Whose idea was it to have lift cars be parked on the streets like that? I mean, how did that come about? That now we are, you know, having this kind of a problem
I
with the
I don't
cleaning
have
of
the
our
answer for
neighborhood.
that, but I guess we
Are
can.
the lift cars by?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I think it would be a good I think it would be a good idea for us to know, and then we can just send a message back over to the transportation saying that, you know, this is what we'd like to know, because maybe they know and we don't know who they are, because sometimes, you know, unless we get to the root, we're
Yes.
never going to get rid of this problem.
Exactly. Right. So that's why I asked
What's the
Dante,
root?
I mean, Khalid, to follow up with Dante, you know, to see if he has any information on that. And then
Great idea.
so that way, you know, we at least have a sense as to what, you know, what is the reason for them having those cars in certain areas
It's part
and
of a
not
plan.
others.
It's part of a plan that it's going to happen. You know, we're the experiment. It's going to continue to happen. It's a long-term
Yeah, but
plan.
it doesn't, yeah, but we need to know as people that live in the community, what is the purpose, you know, and, you know, to get to the bottom of, you know,
Yes.
why they're doing this.
Purpose is to have less cars and take away parking from people. So you're miserable and you give up your car, and that these companies make the money instead of us keeping our vehicles and our parking spaces. It's a plan. It's like, you know, Lyft, City Bike, Open New York, they're all part of the same group. It's all part of the same group. It's a long-term plan to profit, for people to profit, for groups to profit.
But apparently it's not getting to the people that need to know about it. It by the time the community residents get it, it's already in the community. And, you know, as
Correct.
representatives of the community residents, we should have that information beforehand so that the community can give, you know, a say in terms of what, you know, is being placed in the community. But most in cases, you get up and it's placed there overnight, like the bikes on the corner of Nostrand and Sterling. I mean, that was like an overnight thing. You got up and you walk into the subway and you see this, you know, long, you know, stretch of bicycles. I mean, it's a good location. It's a subway station, you know, but at the same time, who knew that this was happening? I didn't know. So there's a lot of things that's happening, and, you know, we get the information after the fact, and that shouldn't be. So in terms of getting to the bottom of these lift vehicles, people need to know what's happening, why they're not moving when there's street cleaning happening. Why isn't it being enforced?
Correct.
Why isn't the guidelines being enforced? So a lot of things, there's a lot of questions that there are no answers to, and there should be answers to them, because
That's why
people
it's
need to
important.
know.
That's why it's important that we complain and get information out there, because it's, everybody's going to get it. We're just like, for whatever reason, first in line to have this.
Okay, so
Mm.
I mean, so we need to know exactly what is the reasoning behind it, and how much more are we gonna get?
But
It
we're
seems
getting
as
a lot
though,
more.
it's like, you first you get the 5G poles, now you're getting these lift vehicles. I mean, we need to know
And the
what's
bike.
going on,
It's
so
And the
privatization
bike.
of public property. It's, it's how companies profit. And we have a political system that's allowing it.
Debbie, the bikes are not registered. I think we all know that. If the bike hits, knock you down,
yeah.
you get nothing
Or the city bikes.
on the city bike.
Oh, really?
true.
Even if you call the comptroller's office,
Nothing.
it's city property.
There's no license.
Oh,
No
One could
insurance.
knock you down with the
oh my
bike
God.
and just keep going.
Wow.
That's a fact.
That's crazy.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But and it's crazy for the seniors that are in the community, who are walking down the sidewalk and have to
Exactly.
deal with these bikes.
And
yet
not
if
only
they're
the
not
city bike,
done-
it's the bike, the food delivery, the Uber delivery people, they're
Yeah.
on the sidewalk. So if you're not, paying attention, I mean, they come down, and sometimes they don't even have a light, to say, okay, you see something, that's shining so that you can move out the way. You just see something zoom past you, and it's like, what just happened here? I've had to tell many of them, you need to ride on the street, not on the sidewalk. So, it's a problem.
a license.
Yeah.
A license.
Yes.
Correct.
Well,
And,
hopefully all that'll change. They're gonna have to pay them $30 an hour now. Something
oh
just
my
went through.
God.
I think today or yesterday, those large companies have to pay the drivers $30 an hour and up. So it's gonna be expensive. So I don't think as many people are gonna be doing that anymore.
Wow.
They have to pay. What did she say? Who has to pay $30 an hour? The restaurants?
Those large companies that the apps that people use to order the food,
Oh,
The food
They're-
apps, yeah.
yes, yes.
they're the ones that
Okay.
actually hire the drivers. It's like Lyft did that as well. It's different, a little different, but there's different apps, especially the large ones. The smaller ones, I guess, don't have to if it's just like a local restaurant, but the larger companies now have to pay, I think it's $30 an hour, basically.
Wow. Well, I
Wow.
guess
To those drivers.
we'll hear more about that. Because
That
it's
just went through for them. So I don't think it's affected yet, but it's going to be. So that might mean fewer drivers.
more than likely if they're not being paid the $30.
Yeah, well, it's a double-edged sword because it's like, a lot of people are making money through that, using.
Well, it's either that or they're gonna do like the dollar vans were doing on Flatbush Avenue. They would, I guess operating under, different sub, I don't even want to say contractors, but they were doing their own thing. So maybe the food delivery people probably form their own little coalition here, there, and everywhere. And
Maybe.
then they, you know, they'll have to be regulated at some point, you know?
I mean, technically, it's supposed to be better for us in the end if there's
Yeah,
right? There's less pollution, less cars, so it's supposed to be better for the air quality. But then we're getting run over, right? You see how things, like when you make a plan for something, like they put the cars in the street, seems like it's going to be good for some people, but then there's too many and they're not moving for street sweeping. So there's not a lot of foresight, I think, going on with some of these.
I think enforcement, there has to be enforcement, and that's not happening. I don't know if they don't have the manpower, but based on the fact that, you know, just to get Mr. Herbert, the vehicle that he was complaining about towed, there was all this back and forth. And, you know, reading some of the emails, it's like, okay, we're waiting for a tow truck. And I'm like, okay, well, how many tow trucks are there? Is it only one for the 5 boroughs? You know, this is crazy. So it's like, it, you know, you really
Yes.
wonder what's going on with our taxpaying dollars when, you know, you're calling about something and, you know, they're telling you that there's no, you know, no vehicle to send to remove it. So it's like, you know, it's even with 311, the system is not working the way it should be. So, but I guess we have to continue to follow up on that, is those issues that are before us. And so moving along, so we spoken about the Bedford Avenue project. Dante had sent something else with regards to
Empire Boulevard in front of McDonald's.
the
Empire.
DEP emergency contractor resume work. I believe that was at Bedford and Sullivan. And continue to do excavation for the sewer repair on the second condition. He said that the contractor is also performing continuous bypass pumping operations, and completion is tentative for the second week of December. So hopefully that should be somewhere about now,
It
which
seems
I believe.
seems like that project, it seems like today, like I said at the beginning, is complete. It's hard to tell,
Okay, so
but it
okay,
seems
so
like
that's
it seems like it is. They weren't there,
okay,
and
so that's probably what
and
they
they put
informed
a lot of
Dante.
fences out. They put a lot of barricades out on my street and take up to reserve parking spots for
Right.
themselves. And they didn't put those out in the street. They're on the sidewalk. Has a
Okay, so they
first-
probably completed that, yeah.
but the one on Empire between McKeever and Franklin, that's the one that's the most mystifying.
Well, I guess they're still working on that one, so we have to follow up to see what,
Definitely still there, like big hole in the street,
yeah.
water main break, collapsed sewer, that was a collapse. So
Okay, so
what, I think it needs to be, like, I know, East Flatbush is going to get a lot of work because of Vital Brooklyn, and it just seems like measures aren't being taken to protect the infrastructure of our city with these big
You'd
developments.
have to.
Responsibility is that? It seems like it's like, oh, it's just so old, it collapses, but we could see how the work was being done there, that it caused the sidewalk to separate from the street, a huge rut. And we complained about it and filed reports, and it was just kind of brushed off, and then there's a big collapse. So, and then another collapse and another collapse. So is there going to be more? Probably.
well, the thing about it is, with these infrastructure problems, we wouldn't know what's going on underground, under the surface. And a lot of it is happening under the surface. So it's not until something like that, major like that happened, we, really get to see what's going on.
Like, what I'm saying is there were very clear signs that something was happening. Like the sidewalk starts separating,
Mhm.
and they keep putting gravel and cement in, and it's like the street starts going down, and then there's a pothole, and then there's an explode, until something really bad happened, they just brushed it off. Whereas I think something could have been done much sooner to prevent it. It's like preventative care. Like you take care of your city, like you take care of your body. You do preventative care, and you're mindful to not cause big collapses, right? And when things are allowed to happen that aren't regulated, that's what's happening here. It's not just, and the contractors, they're making a lot of money, so they're fine. Like, the more collapses, the better for them.
Well, that's our taxpayers
So true.
dollars at work.
Exactly.
So they have to, this is what the city does before they start projects. They contract to see who's the best bidder and all these things. It's a process. So, there's a lot of things that, happens, before these projects get started. And sometimes they are scheduled to get started. They don't get started. Sometimes the money is removed and going to something else. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in terms of these capital projects. That's what they're called. Mr. Herbert, I see you have your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Okay. First, Tara, do you have a location where those lift cars are, like the intersection? Because I just typed up a complaint on their website.
Well, there's some
I just
on Sullivan and Ludlam is one.
Sullivan.
On
Sullivan, what place?
Yeah, Sullivan Place.
And where?
Ludlam, just off of Ludlam. It would be
Okay.
west of Ludlam on the
No, that's what I need. Just Sullivan and Ludlam. And where's the other one?
There's 4 spots there.
Okay.
Well, really it's 3. It's marked as 3, but 4 cars can fit there, honestly. And then the other one is on Stoddard and Montgomery.
Stoddard. Spell that Starrddard.
STODDARD.
STODD.
ARD, place.
ARD. Stoddard Place. And the intersection?
It's like right on the corner of Montgomery and it's on Stoddard, just off of Montgomery.
Okay. All right. So let's see what happens with these.
So
and
those
I'll
are
see if
those little side streets in that area there. They're like small streets.
Right.
in the
And
area there. Yeah.
with the City of Yes, with those new City of Yes amendments, you're going to be allowed to have any kind of business on any corner. So residential spaces will now be allowed to have businesses there. And I think that's why they're putting the cars there, because technically those cars are supposed to be off of commercial corridors, where in our neighborhood they're not off of commercial corridors. They're on residential, right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. But apparently that's what the talk is because these changes that are going to come with the City of Yes, all the corners are going to be able to be commercial. So they're like future planning, I guess.
It appears as though there's a plan in place already. Because if those things are in place, it means that there is a plan in place.
There's a proposal.
Okay, so it would be good to know how much the Transportation Committee has, how much information they have on that.
Yeah, the Yearbook has a lot of information about it as well, but they're meeting right now and I can't go because I'm here. So, because I've been going to their meetings and they've been talking about it extensively.
So we'll have Khalid refer that information to Dante so it can be presented at the next service cabinet meeting to find out more from DOT what are the what is the procedure for those vehicles being parked there and not moved when there's sweeping and cleaning procedures in place on certain days, and it's mind-boggling that they don't move the vehicles because, you know, they have a right to park there, but I'm sure that they have a right to follow, the procedures that the residents that live in that community have to follow as well. So that's kind of, boggling to me. But again, we'll have a follow-up on that.
Well,
Uh,
one thing that I'd like to mention is, I believe, Khalid, can you confirm this, that DOT hasn't been showing up at those cabinet meetings? It seems like DOT is MIA.
I can't speak to that.
But
Dante
Khalid
is in
wouldn't be
those
able to
meetings.
speak to that because he doesn't attend those meetings.
But Dante talks about it every time. Khalid, do you remember?
I can't speak to that. I'm sorry. Dante is on those meetings, but can't
But
speak to
I
that.
definitely will follow up with Dante to find out,
All
if
right,
that is true.
thank you.
I mean, all of the service, you know, um, agencies are supposed to be, at that meeting, whether it's the commissioner or, someone that is, a liaison or something for whatever the agency is. That's what that is all about. They're supposed to be at that meeting, um, to provide, responses to the services that, people have concerns about. So I'm
Are
not sure
those
what's going on there, but,
are those
it would be
open
good to
meetings?
know.
Are those open to the public or are they private?
The service cabinet meetings?
Yeah.
Oh, I've attended a lot of service cabinet meetings in Manhattan.
You
Um,
have.
for Brooklyn, it would be at Borough Hall. Is that where it's held, Khalid?
Well, from what I hear is on Zoom, so with
So
Dante. So
they're
I can't
not in
speak.
person? They're not meeting in person?
No, I don't think so. Well, maybe they do,
Okay.
but
Well,
from what
whether
I've
they're
heard,
meeting in person or not, it's supposed to happen at the, because I know in Manhattan, they're happening in person. The Borough Service Cabinet, the Borough Board, and these meetings, they're back in person. So I'm not sure what's happening in Borough Hall, in Brooklyn. So
Yeah.
that's where they normally happen.
Oh,
yeah, I'm not
really?
too familiar with the meetings though, because it's him that is doing them. So, and I'm
Yeah.
in the board, in the back.
But I
So,
guess that's just a phone call to Borough Hall to find out if the meetings are in person or not.
yes,
So that, and they probably would have that on their website in terms of, when the meetings are happening, when they are scheduled. So that would be a good place to look as well.
Yes,
Um,
and Brad Landers took away Eric Adams' emergency powers. There's an article today about that. So does that mean we have to meet in person now? Like, what is going on with that? That's another thing that I'm wondering about.
well, I guess we would have to wait and see how that unfolds. If Radlanders did, I haven't heard anything about that. So,
It just
that would be something to, wait and see how that, unfolds. But I would definitely follow up on that tomorrow to see, I mean, if there's any articles on that. If Landers did that,
it's
apparently,
definitely articles about it.
yeah, well, I guess, yeah. He has the purse string, so I guess he can pull it at any time. So maybe
What's it?
that's one of those things. I don't know.
That's why, because of
Yeah. Yeah, he has the purse string. Okay, so we're moving right along here. We are going to go into our new business. And I actually, put two in, topics on here that I felt was important, although we did discuss the presenter information already. So we can just move beyond that since we are waiting for a date and time from Dante. So the other thing on there was to speak to the Environmental Protection Committee goals for 2024. And reevaluate our list of from October 16, 2023 meeting. And that was one of the issues that I felt we needed to focus on, because there's only so much we can do within the time that we have to, before, there's another person chairing a meeting. So in the event that, we can't get to everything, we need to focus on the things that I guess are more sensitive than others. So, I mean, we don't want to take on too much because, sometimes a lot of things may get dropped by the wayside. So I would say, for me, the focus would be on the things like, the drainage system and things that needs to be, done in order to prevent certain things, which would be water. And that has been a big problem for us now. So that's one of my concerns right now. So if anyone else has anything else that they may want to add, that would be helpful. But I think that drain sewer system is definitely, has taken a hard hit with all the rain that we've been getting. And in terms of, trying to avoid that from happening in the future, I guess, we need to focus on, making sure that somebody's hearing what we have to say or is responding to our questions and is able to provide us with the questions that we may have. Hence the reason why I mentioned that we should, put some questions together in terms of the catch basins and anything else that may pertain to, the water being, diverted to certain areas so other areas are not inundated with the water. So things like that we need to come up with. I will try to, come up with some questions, and I think that everyone else should, do the same. So that we can have that information available for Dante once he has a meeting scheduled, because that was one of the requests that was made from the DEP contact that he made, he spoke to. So just
No problem.
something that, people you guys may want to keep in mind for our January or February meeting, whichever the date is for, scheduled for by Dante. And the
I'll send
DEP
you.
contact. I'm sorry?
No, I thought it was on mute. I said
No, that's
I'll
fine.
send.
Yeah.
I'll send you the questions by tomorrow. I'll send you a few
Okay.
by
And
tomorrow.
then the parking and towing issues again, we are still, I guess we're gonna have that problem because, when you have more more vehicles than parking space, it becomes a problem. You have developments that's still going up, and I'm not sure whether parking is a part of that plan, but so it's an ongoing issue, and it doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. Or I
So
don't know what
I
the
think
plan is for that.
a goal that we can make
Yes,
or put forth with regards to removal of vehicles in order to make sure that the city can clean the streets is that we should do our best to get a task force together with us, the DEP, sanitation, and the police department. Again, right? We should have that as a goal to get them in one room and come up with a strategy in order to address this concern.
I'm not sure we'll be able to get them in one room, but it would be probably, unless we actually attend, and even if we attend the Borough Service Cabinet meeting,
Mhm. Or
it
even this platform.
right, but then they may not be able to be at the same meeting. We may have to, schedule them at different times in order to,
Right.
come up with something.
But it's a good goal in order to make contact with each of those
right,
individuals because they all play an important part in
right.
making sure that the streets are clean in order to make sure that we do not have flooding at the corners and catch basins and so forth.
So, I mean, what I think is it would be a good thing to make a recommendation to bring them to a board meeting, a general
Mhm.
board meeting, so that all of all of the committees are there and people can get their, the answers to the questions that they have.
Even better.
So, maybe we can make a recommendation to, or to the chair or, in terms of,
Mhm.
doing this. I mean, this has to do with service. How many times are we going to ask the same question about a service that's happening? The rat problem, the water problem, so these are things that we need as as community board members. We all need to be, mindful of all these things and be, involved and understand what the process is and how to maneuver, the system so that the services can be provided in our community. And I find that
Agreed.
that is very problematic where, we have to wait for responses. We have to, I mean, it's quite disturbing that, today now, we are sitting waiting for responses on things that's happening right before our eyes. And they're
Right.
happening so often. It's like, well, when do you draw the line and say, okay, we need information, we need answers right now.
Mhm.
So I would definitely, make that recommendation to the board, or to the chair rather, that, we have these service providers come and present to the board at one of the general board meetings, whether we can get two at a time or maybe all of them, because if we try to do do it at one meeting, some things may not be able to be a part of the agenda. So that would be something that but I will definitely, recommend that to the chair.
Those meetings, the general board meetings tend to be pretty packed with a lot going on, a lot to vote on.
Well, there is, yeah,
And
there is a lot,
so it
you know.
might be wise to have some type of a town hall or hold like a town hall in say our meeting and invite them. And so we could like really spend the time that we need to on it and invite uh other committees to a meeting. So we could really talk about it in depth.
Well,
Just dedicate a whole meeting, right?
I think we need to do this as a whole, as a board, as a general thing where, whether, it's a town hall, whether it's a general board meeting, but these things, these outstanding issues need to be addressed.
So
So, I mean,
you're
it's
gonna suggest that those three groups come to the general board meeting and present and talk to all of us, and we ask questions at once.
of course, if it can happen, if they can all come together at, at a meeting, at some point to address some of these issues, because if we are waiting for responses from the Borough Service Cabinet meeting, which happens monthly, and we are not getting it, if we can get them there in person, it makes sense. I mean, so I would definitely, make that recommendation, for a full board presentation and, or discussion in terms of the services that we receive and what, residents would like to see in the community. And, even if we involve, residents to, attend that meeting as well, which I'm sure that they probably more than likely will. There was a woman at the last general board meeting who was speaking about the Jewish supermarket on Empire there, and the rats that, because the garbage is not done the way they're supposed to package the garbage. I mean, and it's just thrown all over the place, and it's not fair to her that she has to deal with that, issue where there's rats all over, the place because of that. I mean, then they need to enforce, what's going on over there. And I'm not sure what happened with that, but I did ask Dante if, he was able to speak with anyone, because I mentioned it at the last general board meeting for him to follow up. And he said he would. I'm not sure when the next service cabinet meeting is, but hopefully it's sometime this month if it didn't happen already. But there's a lot of
Oh gosh, I hope that
service
doesn't
issues
happen
that
here.
we need answers to. Yeah.
The rats are terrible.
Oh, they're horrible. They're all over. I see dead. I mean, like some of them, the cars run over them, and it's like you just see this flat thing in the street. You wouldn't know unless you go there and look. And they're huge. It's like, my God, what is this?
We had rats in our neighborhood, in our area, when
Yeah.
they first started digging up on Empire. And several of my neighbors, we all went to the Rat Academy, the Rat Academy.
Oh,
You
yeah.
go to those meetings.
Yeah, I've been
And
to one.
we did
Yeah.
a lot of calling, reporting, and they came and investigated, and also going to the academy and figuring out different ways to deal with them. We've had a lot less problems in this. Like, maybe the last year has been actually pretty good, I have to say, but it took a lot of work. It's like with the cars, you have to put in a lot of effort, with these organizations. Like, that falls under us, right? EP is like rats,
Well, I mean, you
garbage,
have the
right?
health department, you have social, I mean, the what's that other committee? Health and Social Services. They so I mean, that would be something that more than likely, we'd have to involve the health department in, because I know that they have a program there for, rat abatement. I don't know, what they do now with this current rat situation, because the whole plan that the mayor had was to, take care of that, or the plan that's in place now is to
Oh,
take
that's
care of
right.
that.
He
Yeah,
has
So
a
it's my
rat
that
czar, right? A
yeah.
rat czar.
exactly. So,
Who is
I'm not
that?
sure if it's being enforced or not, because I see a lot of things happening other than what's supposed to be happening. So I'm not sure that any enforcement is taking place, because people are still putting garbage out before they're supposed to do it
Mhm.
and things like that. So there's a lot happening that's not supposed to be happening, but there's no enforcement. So, it seems as though we're going to have that the rat problem for a very long time. And with all the development going on, they're running all over the place. They're running wild.
Hmm.
So, I think that the rat abatement should start in those areas where, they should be baited, so that they're not running wild. So
It
that's
seems
another
better.
area that needs to be enforced.
It's better here, but I think because we worked on it.
Yeah,
It took like
because in this area here, a lot of the neighbors, they have those little black boxes, because at one point they were running all over the block, and that's when they were doing the work on the streets, on Nostrand Avenue and that area, installing the new pipes and the
that's
lines
actually,
for the
yep.
yeah,
The last time I saw a big rat was on Sterling, honestly.
yeah,
On Sterling by Nostrand.
yeah, yeah. And then some of those areas, the garbage can, it's not always, sometimes it's overflowing, and I'm not sure what can be done about that. Even the little garbage cans that, were placed there to avoid, sometimes you see them open and, just garbage just thrown on top. And I'm like, well,
Hmm.
what's the purpose of putting a garbage can there if people are not going to put it inside the thing? They
Well, I
just throw
think
it on
people are
top.
dumping. It looks like people are dumping there, like dumping, like it's not just people like walking on the street throwing in there. It's like I saw bags and a lot of
Yeah,
excessive dumping in that over there. When I take the train over there a lot, you know, to walk, and then
Yeah. Yeah, because I took some pictures of, as I'm walking in the different areas of the, a lot of things that I see going on. And I'm like, people need to do better. How
well,
you're living in a community and it's like you're behaving like this. What do you expect? And then you want to blame sanitation for not cleaning, but you have to do your part as a resident of this community.
yeah, we got that can back that they took away for Juve, much sooner than last year. But it came back and it actually makes a giant difference in our area with the amount of trash and stuff. So I'm really grateful that trash can came back. So I think it's good to have them in communities. Like, remember you had suggested too, as well, Debbie, the bigger trash cans in
Exactly. And that's what I was just about to
some
say,
of those
because
commercial corridors.
right, exactly.
Let's put that on the list.
So, because we definitely need some of those large, the larger ones, because you can step on it and you put your garbage, your cans and bottles, and then the garbage in the other one. It's, we definitely need some of those.
Yeah, I see those in other, in commercial quarters, like Chinatown has a lot of
Yeah.
them, and yeah, let's get
Yeah.
those. Especially like on places where there's a lot of, like you should probably have one on your corner where there's all
There
that
should be
dumping.
definitely one on Nostrand Avenue, especially in areas where there's, a lot of traffic, so.
Exactly. There's a lot of kids and people going through there. That's probably, maybe we could make a list with a suggestion.
But I
Because
did send
remember when,
I did send something to the board, a picture of that can to the board office a while ago. So I'm not sure what
like
came up
in the
of it, but I
community
will inquire
needs,
again.
or I know Crystal paid for some garbage cans that they put around as well. So I wonder if we could get like some kind of a grant, or how we could get money set aside for at least one, right? We should start with one if we can be an experiment for these
Well,
cars.
there
Why
should
can't
be
we?
like a pilot program where, you start with one or, if you can get more than one, then you try to, put them in two different areas and see how that works. But we definitely need them in certain areas where there's more traffic, by people, and, more food areas, where people, can at least learn, what recycling is, because you would have the two bins next to each other and they're large, in size, and you just step on and put your garbage in there. I'm gonna get another picture when I'm in Manhattan again and try to find out what's the brand, what's the name on there, and forward it again. Or maybe I can call sanitation myself and find out, how do we go about getting those cans. So we'll work on see what we can do
So
to get
Debbie,
them. Yes,
my darling, I
yes.
just want to say to you that, you know, the work that has been handed down to us as you as the chair and us as the member of the environmental protection group, I just think we don't applaud ourselves enough for the work that is being done. I think we are so anxious to make sure that our neighbors and our community are really well taken care of, that we forget that we are doing the work. Mr.
Absolutely.
Herbert and yourself. And I just feel at some point we need to recognize that we are doing something.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's overwhelming to think of all the things we have done since we came on this environmental protection committee. Debbie, you look back at all the things, the suggestions that have been made, Dante going out to get all of these things done. And I was saying that just on Thursday to a member of my community who said that the community board wasn't doing anything. And I said to him, no, you don't understand. Look now, we're talking about lift cars that we never even knew were coming.
Yes,
We don't know how many of them are there. Nobody told us that the bikes were coming. We got up one day and the bikes were there.
that's
We
right.
got up one day and the towers were there. And I said, it is not us. And some of these things were put in place before we became
That's
members
right.
of, because we are just one arm of a whole political,
There you go. There you go.
thing. So, but I just want to thank Mr. Herbert for his wisdom and Tara for her
And for
tenacity.
joining the committee, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tara for her tenacity,
Yes.
she's going out there. And Debbie, I say to you all the time, I don't know how you do it, girl. I just want to thank God for you and ask God to continue to shower you with the blessing of vision. I think it's the saint that say, we can't do everything, but oh God, give us the wisdom to know the difference between the two. I
Yes.
think it's St. Francis. And I just want to thank the universe for granting us the ability to first
Yes.
become a part of the board, to volunteer, and to be so empathetic and be so honest about what we want to see done to make our community a better place. I want to applaud all of you, and I want to ask us to remember, while we might be overwhelmed, that we have done a great amount of work. We have.
Thank you, Bishop, and I second that emotion. And
Yes.
I would take that as your words of encouragement because you didn't do it earlier.
Yes, and it's okay because Debbie, when I knew that I was coming to the meeting, you were in my thought. Just this small handful, it's a handful of people.
Yes.
And I thought about, in a time like this, Debbie, we're in humanitarian crisis. We are.
Yes.
And the fact that we can be in our own homes talking tonight about how we're going to make our community better. There are people dying.
Yes.
There are countries where the water, we're talking about the drain here, water have taken lives, removed homes, and that's around the world.
Yes.
Every time you look, it's another tsunami, another storm, another hurricane that is taking. We are so blessed.
Another fire.
So blessed.
Yep.
And Mother Nature, I believe, is upset for the things that we have done to Earth.
There you go.
She's doing her little thing.
There you go.
We're only asking for mercy.
Yes.
Grant us mercy to do what we can.
Yes.
As we walk the streets, grant us mercy to do what we can to give life to those that are suffering. Grant us mercy that we will speak on the behalf of those who cannot speak for themselves.
Yes.
Mercy that we will continue to be empathetic to the human cause, not to give up on our humanity, but to work hard to ensure that our district office and our chairman, and all those people will be blessed for the work that is being done.
Yes. Yes.
God bless you, Debbie.
Thank you.
God bless you, Mr. Herbert, and
Thank you,
God bless
Bishop.
you, Karen.
Yes, thank you. So without further ado, does anyone else have anything to add before we adjourn? I think we've discussed a lot tonight, and hopefully we can follow up on some of these outstanding issues and try to, keep things moving.
I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight and showing up on time and working together. It's really important when we have good attendance. So, and that everybody's here caring. And The other thing I just research a little bit about it is the congestion pricing.
Oh my
Mm.
God.
Think about that. I'm not a fan, and I think it'll be negatively impact our air quality here. I think
Yes,
that's what's going to happen to us. So I've been thinking about that, our air quality a lot in terms of environmental protection, as well as the other things we brought up. But I, I just wanted, everybody to think about that and maybe talk about it, how that will impact us. I think we're going to have more cars here because cars aren't going to go to Manhattan, and we're just going to have more pollution and more traffic. So
Or congestion pricing will come here too.
yeah,
you
It
think
certainly
so?
will, because
Oh, yes.
congestion pricing is not new. It's not new at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we
It'll be
haven't had it in
downtown
the
Brooklyn
city.
before you know it.
yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Mr.
I'm
Herbert knows
voting no
something.
personally on the congestion
But
pricing, but
we just have to watch and see how it all unfolds.
I think we could make our comments and our votes count.
Absolutely.
I don't
Yes.
think we just have to watch it come for us.
Exactly. We
This
have
is
to see
something
how it plays out
I
and
think we
try to,
can do
yeah.
something now.
So, hopefully, well, maybe transportation has something going on that as well. Because,
They haven't talked about it. They've been super busy. They've had a lot of
they
resolutions.
haven't spoken about it.
No.
Well, hopefully they may bring it up with somebody will bring it up at some point in the transportation committee meeting. Because it's live and direct. And it's gonna happen. Just like they planted 2 new trees on this block, the Million Trees, your project is still, working. 2 new trees on Sterling between Rogers and Nostrand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. We have
And
one in Union.
yeah, and again, you see them, doing what they have to do with the ground, and then next thing you get up and you walk out there and you see the trees standing there with the 2 things that they put beside it to protect it until it starts blooming, and that's what happens.
Yeah, and then
Debbie,
those trees grow and they don't take care of them. And then everybody's upset.
The residents have to clean up the leaves.
I want to say, Debbie, I finally can see my next door neighbor across the street because they trim the trees.
Oh, very good. We had to call them. I wrote to the commission because I'm not starting from the ground up. I go directly to the head and I write a letter. I'm walking here at night and I can't see myself because the light is out.
Yes.
The tree is hovering over the light, and you need the tree to be pruned before the transportation can come out and put a new fixture or whatever they need to do. I mean, somebody need to make sense out of this. So they finally came and they pruned from Rogers to Nostrand. And then no sooner I told Dante, I said, look, there needs to be a light. It's dark there. It's pitch dark. You come in there, you can't see anything. And you're coming in late at night. So they finally came and installed replaced it. And so now there's light there. We can still use more light, but at least, it's back, it's working again.
Yeah, they need more arborists. They need more people taking care of the trees regularly.
Absolutely. Yeah. It seems as though most of the agencies are overwhelmed. The service agencies are overwhelmed because, it's people are, leaving government quite often. So it's not, some jobs are not the things that are scheduled to be done. They're not going to be done when they should be done, even though the Parks Department will tell you we have a schedule of when things are done. But given the fact that, they don't have enough manpower, it's not going to get done.
Well, it's also a matter
It's scheduled to be done. But
people Or agencies have a schedule, but then some people jump the line if they have influence with, say,
Well, it depends on the
mayor.
urgency, the urgency, yeah.
or the money. If you have
Or,
enough
well,
money,
Yeah,
you're gonna get seen by, say, the FDNY inspectors
well,
before.
that too.
That's
Or, you know,
that's happening.
or something with a developer or something like that. That's why, a lot of things happen, and then next thing, they wind up in jail because they're doing wrong things. But that's not a part of our agenda, so. But we will continue this discussion. I think that we had a good discussion tonight again.
Thank
And
you.
hope that we can continue to do so. And I look forward to seeing everyone at the general board
December
meeting.
21st, isn't it December 21st meeting? Oh my.
I'm not
Debbie,
sure how that's gonna work out, but
Debbie,
we'll see.
Debbie,
Yes.
I will not be at the 21st meeting on
Uh-huh.
December 21st. My office is making it known at the office because I'm doing something in the Caribbean concerning environmental protection, because the Caribbean islands are in distress because of the water,
They're in
the
dire
heavy
need.
rains that are falling.
Oh,
I'm doing
thank you.
Well, that
something.
that has been a long-standing problem.
Yes,
The drainage system in the Caribbean is terrible.
yes.
And the
So
neighbor
I'm
don't
doing-
want, the neighbor don't want this neighbor don't want that neighbor. But you all have to come together in order to get something done. So that this
Exactly.
water goes to the main drain, and nobody wants anything running through their yard. Well, how do you get it done if you don't try to work together? I was just
Well,
speaking to someone the other day about that.
Mm.
it's amazing.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
But
the
this one,
21st is gonna be difficult for me as well.
it's horrible, horrible. So hopefully you can get, maybe you can, Bishop, you can, get something
well-
done for them.
Well, I'm working with I'm set to work with the universities, the UTEC University in Jamaica, and
Okay.
the University of the West Indies, and also I'm going to Barbados. That's my next stop. And
Okay.
I'm including some things with students at Medgar Evers College.
Okay, good.
So while we're looking at the groundwork, there's also that behind the scene work that needs to be done in
Oh,
terms
yeah.
of research,
Yes.
to know
Yes.
how we can protect our islands.
Yeah, well, the thing about the island is they need to have people, you can't have people just building houses, going and removing trees and things
I
that
know.
support the soil and build
I
houses.
know.
That is problematic, and nobody enforces it. So I know people that died from that because they built a house, the rain
And the
came,
rain
there was no
came.
support, and that was it. So there needs to be enforcement. I don't know what's going on in the Caribbean, and I'm so sick and tired of hearing the same thing over and over and over again.
Over and
Everybody
over
wants
and
that
over.
waterfront view.
Yeah,
No, Herbert, it's not the waterfront view. It's those that go to the mountain.
to the mountains,
And
yeah,
and the mountain is now coming down because
it's coming
there are
down.
no
Yeah,
trees there
coming
with
down.
the roots to hold. No.
Yeah.
Oh, they remove the trees.
Yeah, they
Yes.
removed the trees.
Oh,
To
Yeah,
build.
they
Yeah,
removed the trees.
it's horrible, horrible.
It is horrible.
When there's a rainstorm there, forget it. Everything comes down.
Everything just comes
Everything.
right down. It's like a
Everything
mudslide.
comes, the
rock
soil and
slides.
everything. Yep.
Yes.
Everything.
Well,
Okay, so to
not
be
good.
continued, Bishop, we will get an update upon your return from your
Yes,
I just have,
project.
no
And
problem.
so
Excuse me,
I
Mayor.
will adjourn this meeting. It's now 8:41
wait,
PM.
wait, Khalid
Yes.
has something.
Wait, oh yeah, I just wanted to say those who not gonna make the general board meeting, just please contact the office. I have it
Yes.
written down, but just, so we have it in writing, can you email,
Yes.
please?
We
I
Yes.
don't know
will.
if I can. I don't know if I can come or not. I'm gonna
I
try. But
will.
it's such
I will.
a
Yeah.
difficult day.
Yeah, that's why I asked. So just if
So
when you
so
figure it
you
out, just
guys, you
please.
need to reach out so you can be excused.
Yes, I will. I will.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'll be
Thank
there.
you.
Okay. Mr.
Okay,
Herbert,
Mr.
you'll be
Herbert.
everywhere.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be a short meeting.
Yes.
He's been missing the general board meeting, though. He's been traveling so much.
All right,
Yeah, but
Bob,
he,
I'm
he's
always
usually
listening.
on,
No,
yeah,
he's always online.
Very good.
but he
I
said he'd
knew
be
it.
back in 2 weeks, so he might make this one.
I will be there.
Okay.
I want to
Hopefully
live
All
your
it'll be
life,
a-
Mr. Herbert.
Hopefully
I
it'll
wanna
be a
live your
short
life.
meeting.
Every day's a Saturday over here.
There you go.
All right.
Want to live your
Okay,
life.
so
Good night.
it's 8:42. We'll adjourn at 8:42.
Right.
Thank you, Khalid.
Love to all
Okay.
of you.
You're
Khalil,
welcome.
have a nice
Second
night.
for meeting adjourned, and then we have to
Meeting
second it,
adjourned.
remember? We gotta follow
Yes.
Robert's rules.
Okay,
So, seconded.
so
I
Teresa,
confirm.
second, the meeting, the adjournment.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
Okay,
Good
good
night.
night.